ChatGPT 4.0 image generation is really cool, but there are some major things that it can't do. Even some things that OpenAI and other people online are claiming that it can do that we're going to talk about in this video. Some of these things it's good that it can't do, and some of these things it's like, hey, it should be able to do this. Why does it do it this way? Even some people have heard claim that you don't need Photoshop anymore, and I'm going to show you why that's not the case and what some of the major things that, again, they claim that you can do, but that you can't actually do. So one of the things is, let's create, you don't need an image editor anymore. You can just tell it what to do to edit images. And I'm going to show you a bunch of different examples of why that's not true. So first of all, this is a lot easier to do with fictional kind of artistic images where it doesn't need to be exactly as you want it. So it's cool because it does do instructions really well, and it does text very well. And it generally will, I did 5 gremlins and it only did 4. Not that big of a deal. This is kind of weird here. But when we asked it to make it with a transparent background, in their example on their live stream, it recreated the image exactly with a transparent background. Now, I don't know if they used a slightly different model, maybe a better version, or they kind of knew that that exact example would work. But what you see here is it actually changed the image a little bit. For example, you can see this looks a little bit different that's coming out of his mouth. There's some slight differences where, especially if you're using like a real person, it will change their face, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. Now you can go in here, and they actually do have an image editor. You can click a select, and what you can do is we can just do this, create 2 new gremlins. Now there's several major issues with this. It seems in theory like it should work really well. It will actually potentially change the things that I didn't tell it to change. So this is not, at least currently, not a viable way to edit images. What I would suggest is, and I got another example where, let's see if this worked. It's still working on this one, where I got it to try to get it to add a magical castle to the background, and I gave it a specific aspect ratio. It does not always do that correctly. I think Midjourney is better for this, and if you buy the yearly or a certain level, you can actually get to the access to the image editor, which is really useful. So if I wanted to do this, like this, it will keep this exactly, and it will fill in here. Now I can do something like this to give it a little bit more ability to add more to it, but we can tell it to add a magical castle. We have a lot more options. It's not as good at receiving instructions, but it will actually add a magical castle, and it will not change this woman here. I guess it doesn't like that she's a little bit scantily clad, but maybe that's the issue there. Although Midjourney generated this image, which is kind of funny. And this can be done from an uploaded image as well. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be an image created in Midjourney. While editing, as I did with the gremlins here, you actually have to. You can't just upload an image and edit it. You have to have an image that ChatGPT already created. Now, I've seen a lot of people say you can create consistent characters, but and while it can kind of do that, it is not perfectly accurate because it does change the people over time. Let me show you an example. I'm going to show you several examples. Here's one where I thought maybe this is a picture of my dog. I guess it's not loading right here. And here's a thumbnail. And it kind of sometimes it does cut off the text, but it did change my dog. You can see how he's kind of got more white up here if you look kind of between the eyes, and it changed him here. And then even from this one to this one, the coloring is slightly different. And just there's a little bit of a difference. You can see kind of like this right here. So, for fictional people, that's, going to be probably fine. But for real people, it will change their face. And I'll show you an example of that. One thing I thought of initially was, oh my God, people are going to, the dating photos, which already, especially a lot of women use like filters and stuff on that, is going to get crazy. And so the good news is that it's not very good at that. So I thought, here's a picture of me doing yoga, and I thought, make me more muscular. Well, let's ignore the fact that it made me crazy, more muscular, but it did a completely different dude. He's, the skin tone is different, but also the face is completely different. And try again. It looks like it's actually kept the same face, and that's a really interesting thing because I tried this from several different angles. So let me show you a few more examples where it does not keep consistent characters. Again, for artistic things, I think that this is more reasonable. You can have more consistent characters, but I don't think this is the best tool for that. There's other tools like OpenArt that do a better job of this. Here's another example of me with my dog, maybe a bit more muscular. If you look at the image, you can even see like his face is kind of messed up. It looks very different. The dog is very different. It's funny because it got the nature really well. It did the nature really well, but it did not do my face. Here I am trying the muscular one again. Again, it basically completely changes who I am, and it just doesn't look real. You know, I could see guys doing this if it could just like make me a bit more muscular, you know, just a little bit around the edges, but not to where when I went on a date, it would actually, you know, look fake. This looks fake versus let's just add a little bit of muscle tone. Okay, here's another example. Something that is a common thing is getting pictures of you where you're not. And so like, let's say we're asked to be at Big Ben, which is in London. Let's say I wanted to be in London with a beautiful woman, very realistic. This is not me at all. I'm not wearing, I guess I'm wearing glasses, but sunglasses. It doesn't look anything like me. Now maybe this isn't the best picture if I had a better headshot, but still, I don't see this as being a feasible tool for that. I think that's kind of the good news. Here's another example. If I want to just extract myself and put a transparent background, it changes my face. What's interesting is that maybe this is like a common face in there. It changes my face to look like this every single time. And to me, it looks somewhat like me. You can even see the text is a little bit different. It's not, and the jacket is a little bit different. Now, obviously, if I wanted to create it in an anime style, that's much more reasonable because it's a fictional thing. But I couldn't just make it a transparent background and then put the Eiffel Tower behind there. Same thing with my dog. You know, if we wanted to make it transparent, it does change him up. It's pretty close here, but I wouldn't say exactly. His kind of foot is a little bit different. His face is a little bit different. And then it kept the couch. So when I removed the couch, it removed his foot. And it changed his face a little bit again. So it doesn't keep the things consistent across real people. So here's another one where I wanted to add a sword to my hand. So it added the sword, but this face looks exactly like the other one, but it isn't my face. It kind of made it rounder, and there's just a little bit, it's a little bit different. Now maybe I think I look pretty different there. And then I actually had it holding a gun. I thought I would refuse to do this, but it actually has me holding a gun, and this has me a little bit concerned if they actually do get it to where it can keep the face consistent. This could actually be used to like fake evidence. Now, right now, I don't see it being able to do that very easily unless it was like maybe from afar. But you know, that's probably a good thing. But I anticipate that actually being something that it could do in the not so distant future. It doesn't like doing pictures of real-world celebrities, even if you don't say who it is. So I think in one of these images, I just said Tom Brady and Taylor Swift. Yeah, right here. And first of all, I wanted them snuggling up, and I thought, okay, maybe that was too intimate. And then it was just hugging, and it says it can't do celebrities, which is kind of weird. Even when I said, oh, okay, these two people hugging. And I tried to change the name of the photograph, so instead of asking for them specifics, I didn't like doing that either. In the second try, the names were in the images, so I changed the names to like Bob and Sally, and then I said that they were a husband and wife to see if I could trick it, and I wasn't unable to trick it. So creating clickbait that's fake photos of real-world celebrities is going to be hard. Probably the higher the celebrity is on the food chain. Maybe lesser known celebrities that can actually do a good job of delivering to us. Somewhat oddly, it seems like politics maybe are an exception. So this is J.D. Vance and his wife. So this is pretty realistic looking. Like if you wanted to create some fake news of them yelling at each other, having a big fight, this could actually work, although this doesn't quite look completely realistic just because their kind of eye lines aren't exactly right. But I imagine if you re-rolled this enough times, you could actually get it to work. Let's check back up on this original one and create two new gremlins. It actually created 3. And I imagine if I were to look closely, there's going to be some slight differences between these two. These are pretty generic, so I think it got it pretty close to right. It's almost 10 minutes later, and it's still working on this one, so I'm not sure how long that's going to take. We can check up on the Midjourney one as well. Oh, that's right, it refused to do it. See if we could try again. If it doesn't, well, too scantily clad. But this works for a lot of different images where it won't change this at all. So back to politics. It wouldn't let me do violence, which is good. But I imagine there's probably a way around that. But if we wanted a picture of them hugging, it did a pretty good job of that. It's not quite completely realistic. Maybe it's because they're hugging and snuggling up to each other. But this does look like something that could be used for fake news. So also for celebrities, I tried picking some more like B-listers, and these are 2 B-list celebrities, and I tried to create an image of them, and I even changed the names of the files, and it still said, hey, these are celebrities, we can't do that. Another thing is I tried asking for, actually the first thing I did was I asked for Spider-Man playing a banjo. It didn't do that, it refused to do that. And then I tried an image of Spider-Man, and then I tried renaming the image to some dude in a costume, and it still doesn't want to do copyright characters. Here's an interesting one. Just to be safe, they don't, if you have real images of children, so this is an old picture of my kids kind of holding hands and looking cute, and I wanted to make the background transparent and see what happened, and it basically, it's just to be safe. Any images including children, it just won't do. Which kind of seems silly with, just don't do things that you shouldn't be doing with images of children, and that should be fine enough. But whatever. That said, it did take the picture and stylize it in a cute way. So it kind of seems a little bit like not exactly consistent policies on this front. And a picture of my son in Minecraft. He likes Minecraft, so this old picture of him being in Minecraft is kind of cute. I thought maybe it could be used to create fake IDs, but it looks like they have an exception for that. It can create it. Again, this face looks exactly the same as some of the other images, which is really weird, but it created a partial silly Canadian ID. And so I bet there's a way around that, or models right now that could probably do a better job of that. But this would be a good example of something that I think, something nefarious it could be used, especially if you could figure out a way to kind of jailbreak that part of its blocking. Okay, and the final use case that I think is, that it actually can kind of do, but can't completely do, that I think probably it shouldn't be able to do, so let's put that category, is faking real estate photos. So we have this house, kind of looks a little dingy with the furniture and some of the finishings, and so I asked it to basically upgrade that. And actually it made this look a lot nicer. I actually think this is something that it will be used for, and probably is already being used to some degree. Here's another example. I'm not sure it really upgraded this. And it upgraded it, it changed it in a way. It did kind of upgrade some of the finishings to where it's not very realistic, but I would be aware of that going forward. It kind of can't do this because it does change things a little bit too much. I'd say in this example it didn't really do a good job, but in this example it did a really good job of doing it, although there's still some issues that you might be able to see. Got that reflection right. The stairs don't kind of make sense right there because of the mirror. It put a second mirror there with the stairs, which is weird. So I would say, if to a discerning eye, it's not going to catch it, but you might actually see some people using this to fake things. Anyway, what else have you found that it can't do? Because there's quite a few, the ideas and things that people are posting online, including OpenAI and including some influencers that are saying, "Oh, it can do everything you don't need. It can do this and that." Especially the changing things to a transparent background. It often changes the image, and that's a major issue for a lot of different image editing. This is not a good image editing tool. I would use Midjourney, and I think Photoshop also does some stuff like that. So let me know what you think. Please like and subscribe, and hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.